what was wrong with the committee calling me for a sit down, taking my opinion and probably even saying, oh, we've heard you, but it's rubbish. Right now, as I sit here, do you and I know what the next steps on that committee report is going to be taken?
Well, we understand that there's going to be a forensic
that is what we are all pushing for.
And we understand that you are also going to be called in that particular
That is what
instance.
I am looking for.
So then, but then again, it does not discount the details of the report, even if you were not called. So because the details of the report, from what we do know,
the background of my background, my first love is law. Mm-hmm. I won't come here and give information to a committee that never gave me the right or certain privileges for me to speak. Now, as I walk here, based on this report, you know the country we live in. Mm-hmm. If somebody gets upset and does something to me outside this place, based on what they've read, who would be held responsible?
But would you make yourself available for the forensic?
Of course. Look, let's make a point clear. I never schooled abroad. I am homegrown. I believe in this country. I came to work in this country. I worked within this country. Mm-hmm. My success at ECG is clear for everybody to see. And I want to make it known to everybody that I have no intentions of fleeing from the conversation that needs to be had. If we need to solve a problem, let's holistically help the minister to solve the problem. We are all here to assist. What is the issue, or why would we walk away from an issue of something that is beneficial to ECG?
But then that's a question that is on the minds of many, to the extent that,
so, you see, that's what I'm saying. Look, let me add one last point. So, okay, you finish.
No, before you get into the last point, if you say that because of the auctions that were done, containers belonging to ECG that were procured with the taxpayers' money,
point of correction,
yes,
they would be, ECG doesn't use the taxpayers' money.
But
that's another point.
You raise funding to some funds to.
So ECG, you consume electricity, you pay. That is not public funds. The public funds is clearly spelled out in the PFM Act.
But when you generate the revenue, it goes into the national kitties.
No, it doesn't.
But ECG's losses are paid for by us.
How are ECG's losses paid for by you?
So your loss is part of the entire energy sector's debt.
So you see, you are trying to amalgamate two issues which are like chalk and cheese.
You said that your debts are not part of the entire energy sector.
I didn't say our debt. Let's correct that. I didn't say our debt.
What are you saying?
I said our revenue, our cash flow coming in, what we collect after the sales of electricity to our customers, doesn't fall under the remit or the ambit of public funds. That's what I said.
But let's go back, because I'm making direct reference to the committee's report. Let's go back to what the committee talks about.
Again, you are trying to draw me into an arena where I have made my point clear on.
Which is,
if this committee, listen to me. So
you say you don't want to respond to the details of this committee's report.
Perfectly.
But then again, you are concerned by the committee mentioned your name.
Yes, and at the right time, when the committee gives me my opportunity to speak, the committee can publish the respect that the committee didn't give to me. I am affording the committee that respect. Because even your son at home or your daughter at home, when they do something wrong, you will talk to them. When even it's reported speech outside your home, you are told that your son did A, B, C, and D. When you come home, you will ask your son or your daughter. My point is this. Why speak to a document that I wasn't given the opportunity? When given the opportunity, I will address it accordingly. Because there are so many inconsistencies. Yes, I do admit. But at the right forum, my position here is to say this. Containers are too big a thing for us to use the term loose, missing. They are not missing. They are possibly misplaced, or we just need to take our time and find it at other terminals within the port. Because a careful check or a careful exercise. Because today, this afternoon, I was spoken to about a paper from National Security going to, what do you call it, the port, asking for 700 containers to be moved out. Now, my big question is that I don't even know. Is this 700 containers part of what the committee saw? or not? Because this letter is dated 7th March. So there are too many discrepancies that I want all of us to help the minister solve.
Okay, when you wrote to ECG, and we have a copy of, to the GRA, we have a copy of that letter, raising concern about this whole auctioning of your containers. Did they respond to the letter?
No. To the best of my knowledge, I don't remember anything of that sort.
And so, did you follow up to ensure that you get responses?
You see, when you ask such a question, you are cheapening the job at hand that I have been giving to.
Which is what?
As managing director. No, wait. As managing director of the company, do you think every single document I would be able to personally chase after? When other things are coming to you so fast and thick, and there are major things concerning how your customers or how the customers of ECG have to be satisfied, or when there are other issues happening on the ground. Look, let's be fair. And let me make one point clear. Let nobody say that I'm running away from this document. No, I am not.
If you are not running away from it,
don't say
then speak to it.
Don't say if. Don't say if. If the committee.
If you
are friends, listen. Don't push me. Let's land this thing. You asked for a conversation. Let me answer you. Let me answer you. I won't speak to the detail of a document that I wasn't respected. Would you be happy if that was done to you? Why are you forcing me to do so? Because it's your show? If it's your show and that's where you want to go, I'm telling you, I don't want to go there. If you want us to discuss the issues, look, every family, there's a problem. Every home, there are issues. But let's be honest, when the problem doesn't fall fully at the doorstep, we have state agencies, and the minister has categorically said, let's use the state agencies and the forensic audit to determine the whereabouts of these containers. Let's do exactly that. Because for some of us, we believe our reputations also are what? Are at stake if these containers are not found.
Right. So since and that's why I come back to the point that you are so concerned about your reputation if these containers are not found. You wrote a letter to the GRA, you didn't get a response, and you left it there. And I'm asking, and you're saying there were other
you said
important issues.
How long was I managing director of ECG?
For over 18 months, 18 to 20 months.
2 years, 4 months exactly. Now, in 2 years, 4 months, look at the turnaround of the company. Before you start cheapening the conversation, you are asking categorically.
We'll get to the state of affairs. Don't separate. You don't want us to talk about the details of the report.
It's not that I don't. I asked you. I said something honest, and I was being straightforward with you. I told you the committee didn't help the minister. The committee didn't treat me fairly. So I do not, out of respect for the committee, I do not want to speak about it, because bear in mind, I may not be able to control myself when I start speaking about certain things in there. And then am I going to repeat the same thing? It will not also be fair to the committee to hear the first-hand responses to some of these things they've given out here. So the minister on this same show, not on this show, but on this network on Saturday said, I will be afforded the opportunity to speak. And I look forward to that day. Okay. So if the committee invites me tomorrow, next week, next 2 weeks, I will be there to share my viewpoint with them. Then, after that, if you call me here to say I need to speak to ABC and D, what would I do?
Let me find out this. What are the processes at the ECG in clearing your containers at the ports?
We have a materials and transport division of the company that is in charge of that. So basically, as managing director, I have a director that manages this directorate. So all of this falls under that director's ambit.
And why did you merge the estate department with the procurement department?
Fantastic question. Again, if the committee had gotten in touch with the company secretary, because as managing director, I can't just get up and merge directorates. No. You need the consent and the concurrence of the board.
So the board approved that decision?
Definitely.
What was the reasoning behind it?
I will not honor that again by giving that here, because if due diligence was done, the company secretary was spoken to, the document would have been provided for them. There are too many things that it was left ajar. One of them, there was no, value for money audit. If you had spoken to the company secretary, you would have gotten all of that. But there are things that the director legal could have also provided, because there are things that are on file.
Is it best practice to merge estate department with the procurement department?
You see,
headed by somebody who, according to the report, didn't have any experience in procurement.
So my conversation to you is this: when you're a manager, when you're a director, it has nothing to do with qualification. It's a management role. If this your question applies, then why are ministers, apart from the Attorney General, who the Constitution is expressed should be a lawyer? Why are individuals from different backgrounds appointed into certain ministerial roles? It's a management role. So I'm telling you, if the committee had taken its time, spoken to the corporate, the company secretary, there would have been board minutes that led to that decision. And all of this wouldn't have happened.
You are aware of the reasoning?
I am aware, but why do I give it out here? Due diligence. Look, when you are put in a role, in a fiduciary role, there are certain responsibilities that come with it. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to do anything that would look like you are giving the dog a bad name and hang it. If I tell you sitting here, I feel it was a witch hunt, would I be wrong in saying that? I would not feel wrong in saying that. But the truth of the matter is, I feel the committee could have done better. I feel this final interim report leaves a lot to be desired. I look forward to the day I am called to speak. I look forward to a day a new report is published, and I am committed to assisting the minister to recover his containers. And I have said that, and I'll continue to say it, because these are stuff, or these are goods that belong to the state.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Where are the containers?
I like how you put it, the container heist.
It is indeed.
Honestly, I want to say I believe strongly the containers are at the port.
The containers are at the port.
And they are within the control of, because before I finish that statement, there are only two entities that have control of those containers. Let's bear in mind that the minister went into the port, a restricted area.
But I'm sure, I don't think he went in there all by himself without any permission.
Yeah, he went into, no, I'm not saying that, just let me land. He went into a port, a restricted area. Containers have a formula as to how they leave the port. This conversation would have been different if we were saying that the containers were in the custody of ECG and got lost. But that is not the conversation. The conversation is that those containers are at the port. So they are in the custody of GPHA and Ghana Customs. So it begs the question as to, yes, ECG hasn't paid its duties. Fine.
Yes.
So why auction a container belonging to ECG without knowledge to ECG? Because in my candid opinion, that's the only way a container can leave the port.
So are you saying that these containers left the port without your notice?
I will say,
you being informed?
I would say if they have left, I'll be very careful to say, if, look, my brother,
well, wait.
Containers,
Well,
containers don't get missing. Let's correct something.
Mr. Mama, so you know what? The containers are not at the port. You have seen some of them.
You are saying that.
You have seen some of them at Bong and the northern region.
How many?
At least we counted 40. The minister says 40, and other the ones they found at Bong as well.
Let me ask you a simple
question. So they are not at the ports. That's what I want to tell you.
Do you know a container is not like a piece of paper that you fold and throw away.
True.
For international supply chain logistics, a container has a unique number. Now, let me draw you to the committee's work, because that is where I want us to draw inference from. The committee said 1,346 containers are missing. How are they missing? There are processes at the port. Let's go through those processes. Have we spoken to the shipping lines? Have we visited the other terminals? Have we gone through the right channel? Because listen, the last I know, before I left, were that containers were auctioned. We did write to GRA to complain about those containers being auctioned.
Containers were auctioned with the content of the containers
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
ECG containers.
Yes.
Were auctioned by who?
It would be by the GRA, because when it goes to an unclaimed sector of the port, it's still within the jurisdiction of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Customs Division.
Okay. So why did they auction those containers?
They would say it's within their purview. They might say the container has overstayed, the container hasn't come, the owner hasn't come for it. Let's say, for example, you order a vehicle from the US, or you are importing a vehicle. Okay?
Yes. Now, I think that understanding is clear. So the reason why they auction the containers is because it overstayed.
Okay. Yes. That's fine.
So that means that ECG failed to clear the containers.
So the question is, if ECG has failed to clear the containers, is that a good reason to auction the container with no recourse to ECG?
Did you write to the GRA?
There are letters flying. When I was in office, I know I wrote.
And what did the GRA say?
I don't have a reply from that. I have checked my documentation. There's no reply from that I can speak to. Look, all I'm trying to say is our approach to the issue is to help the minister find these containers. As I sit here, the committee completed the job without speaking to me. Yet I am named in the committee's report.
But they spoke to the directors at the Electricity Company of Ghana, is it not?
You spoke to the directors, yet you named somebody who wasn't present.
So you wanted them to speak to you.
So how would you feel if they said no? Let's be fair. Let's not beat about the bush.
I get the point. Right?
No, if you get the point, let's make the point clear.
The reason why this committee, according to the minister, was established was to reconcile information that you left.
Listen,
right?
If you say that again, you are not being fair.
Why?
The minister said he was getting contradictory. I left office on the 25th of September. So I didn't leave during the transition. No, I wasn't part of the transition.
Well, but a number of the issues being discussed were within your period as minister.
There are a few issues discussed in the report, some contracts discussed in the report that were not signed by me. I was not in the office. I have decided not to speak to the committee's report because I want us to fully appreciate the decision or the conversation concerning these containers. The containers were never, yes, granted ECG hasn't paid its duty. For example, do you think Customs will auction a container belonging to Ghana Armed Forces?
So why did your containers keep that long at the ports?
You are not
when you already have from the
containers keeping at that long at the port. There are two issues. There was one investigation being carried out by, what do you call it, Yoko, on a group of some containers called the LNR contract. That preceded me before I came into the seat. Again, PDS had staff at the port, also in containers. That was a bone of contention at an arbitration. You have to stay your hand on those things. The moment you touch them, you are liable. The person can...
How many? How many containers?
I don't want to speculate numbers because I do not have the number sheet with me. And again, I left office in September. I remember writing letters to that effect. Yes, I do. I don't want us... Look, Mr. Kansi, let's address this issue for what it's worth. If the containers had come out of the port and they were within the jurisdiction of ECG, yes, ECG is liable for it to get lost. But the mere
question you have asked a number of times, and I said to you that you said how the containers got out of the port was because GRA auctioned them.
I said that is one. I didn't give you. I said that is one, and the conversation veered. Listen to me carefully. I said, let me reiterate this. A container cannot get missing. Wait, let me finish my point. A container cannot get missing. A container can only get misplaced or lost at sea. So there are laid down processes in every port worldwide. All I'm trying to say to you is that we need to have a diligent search, and everybody needs to assist in this. I haven't left this country. I am here. I want to assist because those containers contain critical materials that we need to intensify the network of ECG and also expand the work that the ECG is doing. So for me to say almost it's not only an indictment. It's not only an indictment on ECG. There are 3 state institutions involved here. Let's not drop the ball at one doorstep and say, okay, this is where it sits and that is the end of it. No. Not at all. If the containers had been delivered by to ECG's warehouse, and then you find those same containers out there in the field, yes.
You see, because you are going ahead of me on a number of issues. Now, I told you, I think we have enough time to get into the issues. You indicated that containers don't get missing. Per the records of the minister and what we have seen, the containers are not at the ports. So we can only describe them as missing and unaccounted for. It has been traced to certain warehouses, which you say that GRA auctioned those containers. That's one of the ways they got out. Which other way did they get out of the ports?
I am saying, if you are going to consider that, in my candid opinion, and as normal standard and practice, that should be the only way a container can leave the port. So if its owner has paid the duties and all the charges surrounding it, then the container can leave with its owner. If its owner hasn't paid that and it has gone into an unclaimed section for a very long period of time, yes, then the GRA can auction it for what it's worth to retrieve whatever monies they need to retrieve.
And the management, according to this report by the committee, they say your management, the negligence of your management caused the hold-up of ECG containers at the ports, incurring demurrage to the tune of over 909.5 million Ghana cedis.
Well, my candid opinion.
Why did you then this delay, the negligence that led to the delay, incurring demurrage to this tune that we will have to pay?
Isn't it beautiful that you are saying it here on this show? We all need to work together to make sure that what the minister's motive is achieved. That is what we need to do.
Did you overprocure?
What is overprocurement in a utility?
So let me tell you what I mean by that.
So again, you are dragging me into the report. If you do your research well, wait.
But you're saying you did not. So
I didn't say I did not. I said you said what is
so
overprocurement.
Did you overprocure?
I said I'm not answering any question related to this. I have said something to you, but it looks like when we go forward 3 steps, you are trying to be smart to bring me back to the document, my brother. If you want us to have a conversation about the processes and structures of how containers are received within the Republic and how containers are given to their owners and how this has no relation to the ECG staff whatsoever, let's talk about that, so that because it's all about exonerating and allowing us to zero in on where to find these containers. But if you want us to speak to a report where I have told you there are people, there are smart people that were put on this committee. Don't make me emotional about what this committee has done.
No, but
because I have told you the same thing. It is not even fair to even you.
Okay, but in the ECG, you have a budget and entity tender committee. Correct?
We do.
Was there any point that they approved a particular value for procurement that you had to go back to them?
Do you know that ECG
and deviate from that?
Again, ECG has a procurement manual, doesn't it? The committee report, same committee report, says what? They don't have a proper procurement manual, but that said procurement manual was approved by the board. So again, if you didn't find that report showing you that the procurement manual was approved, and you can write that they didn't have a manual, you would then come up with such what? So for me, let's be fair. Be fair to me. Let me be fair to the good people of Ghana that I came to serve and the great staff of ECG that I came to serve. I am not here to badmouth anybody. All I am saying is that fairness must prevail. If I was called and I didn't speak or I didn't share what the motives were, because at the board level, policy is discussed, the direction of the company is discussed, corporate governance is discussed. So let's zero down on that and let's solve that problem.
So everything that we are talking about in this report and the questions and concerns raised about the decisions taken were approved by the board at the time.
Have I said that? You see, stop putting words in my mouth. Stop dragging me. No, I didn't say that on this show. No. Don't put words in my mouth. I said I am not responding to this. I said the procurement manual of every year is approved by the board.
I said to you, I asked specific questions, for instance, about the decision to merge the procurement unit, and the estate unit. You said that was approved by the board.
I said if they had gone for the board minutes, they would have seen what constituted and led to that decision.
So it was approved by the board.
You are saying it because I said I am not going to address anything. Yes, I'm being mischievous. I'm just telling you the truth.
But then it's not serving your own good.
Why is it not serving my own good?
Really?
I didn't come here to serve my own good. Because the moment
you're concerned about your name and reputation.
No, you don't get my point.
Here saying
you're not getting my point.
To.
And I have said this, and I'll continue to say it. Committee was not fair to me. I am not going to address the committees. I'm not going to be disrespectful to the committee because they were disrespectful to me. We live in a country where the laws of the land work. We live in a country where we are trying to make things better. If you are even if there are people that accused me, there are days that I have to be able to have the opportunity to face my accuser. So at the end of the day, if this is the situation in the report, whatever inconsistencies I have seen, if the committee didn't deem it necessary to speak to me, but will write my name in there, so be it. It's the committee's prerogative.
Did you escalate the non-response of GRA to your letter to the board?
The board at that point in time knew.
They knew about it.
They knew. I had communicated it to the board that we had containers that were stuck at the port, and those containers some had been auctioned by the GRA, and I had written to the GRA. Yes.
And what was the board's position?
Yeah, you have written to them. We are waiting for a response from them.
And that response never came.
I said to the best of my knowledge, and the last time I worked at ECG, I didn't get a response.
And the board did not raise concerns about that as well?
So you see, again, let's not cheapen management or board duties.
But you know, this matter is not cheap.
No, you're not getting my point. I wonder how. I don't know how to explain. Let me explain something to you. Let's put you.
But wait. This.
Have you?
I want to.
If you let me land, land my point.
You know what?
Oh, Alfred, let me land this point. Listen, on a day-to-day basis in the seat as an ECG MD, you need to enter the place one day to see how when you walk into the office at about 7 a.m., by the next time you realize you have not even eaten, you've not drank water, but you are leaving the place at 9 p.m. You enter, the sun is up. By the time you are leaving, it's late. You would understand that, yes, the number of things that go through. Yes, this same letter was forwarded to the legal directorate. This letter that we wrote was forwarded to the legal directorate. So technically, I don't work in isolation. Okay. So if that's why I keep saying, if there was a response, by now, the director legal should have it.
So with everything that has been raised as a matter of concern in terms of whereabouts of containers and how they get out of the ports and ECG not being able to even account for them, you believe that if you were contacted, maybe clarity would have been brought to bear, and so there was nothing wrong done?
I am not saying that. I said there are containers don't get missing. Containers can get misplaced.
Okay.
Let's all assist the minister and the forensic audit for us to identify the location of these containers.
Okay, the containers have been misplaced.
If we do it and we are short of, and whatever we need to do holistically to identify where these containers are, who took the containers out, because no matter what, a container number would be linked to someone. There's always that trail when it comes to containers. Whoever signs off on the way bills are always there. That is documentation that is easily verifiable. That is again documentation that is easily verifiable even with the shipping lines. So for me, I think the committee failed the minister, and let's look at it in this broad view. And so if that was done right for the minister, I believe the minister would have a better understanding of what is going on. But for the committee to come out with a report, name someone in it, not give the person the opportunity, I'm not going to address it in the public domain. No.
So you say the containers were misplaced.
In my candid opinion.
Good. These misplaced containers did not get misplaced over just a 3-week period or a 2-month period that this administration has been in office.
How would you know?
Based on the details of what, in terms of the auction period.
You see.
And I'm coming. In terms of the auction period of these containers, you would know the period that these containers were sold or auctioned by the GRA, because you wrote this letter in 2023.
So if you are going to be mischievous, the minister in January said 2005.
So I don't think that if you're talking about fairness, there's no reason to say we're being mischievous.
So let's be fair. No, I'm talking about fairness here.
Yes.
I am saying
why do you
there are inconsistencies in the situation. And the inconsistencies do not bring what? Clarity. Let's all assist. And I will continue to say it. Let's all assist to bring clarity and closure to this matter.
The misplaced containers, that's wrongdoing. It's not
by who?
Proper procedure.
Who misplaced it?
I think you should be answering those questions.
It was with the custody of the what? Ghana Customs and in the custody of Ghana ports.
But if over time you import containers with content and they are misplaced, and as an MD, you don't get concerned about it, how do you expect me to also believe that
from what you are saying,
you are not part of the entire syndicate?
If that's the case, so be it. It will come out in the forensic audit. If that's the case, so be it. Let the records show that Dubik was part of the syndicate. If that is what we are looking for, let's look for it. What would be Dubik's aim to be part of a syndicate to take containers out? Do I live in a container house?
Well,
my homes, if you have come to my home and it was built with containers, yes, you can say something like that and people will believe you. But the conversation at hand is this. And you see, we keep digressing on the issue. Containers have arrived for ECG. ECG didn't have money to clear the containers. The containers went into an unclaimed area. Yes, the containers were there. Some of them were subjects of an investigation. They were there for a long period of time. As they were there for a long period of time, some of the containers cannot be found. How many terminals are there in the, what do you call it, in GPHA? So have we gone to every single terminal to determine whether there's MPS? Don't forget. So let's go through all of this. So if you go to GPHA alone, you are not also being fair to GPHA. Let me finish. So there are how many terminals? There's Atlas, there's other. Let's go through all of them. Don't say I went here and I counted and that was it. Let's go through all of them, or let's go into the system.
So because you classify this as misplacement and not missing, would you say containers found in fabrication companies and warehouses of Chinese were misplaced?
How were they? How would you call those containers missing? How did they leave?
No, I'm saying I'm using your own terminology.
No, yeah, so I'm responding to you. How did the container leave the port? No. If you answer that question, you would know, because we all live in Ghana. How did that container leave the port? The answer to all what we are looking for is how did those containers leave the port of the Republic of Ghana? If we get to the bottom of that, we will find that syndicate.
And so, the Big Mama, you are not aware of how these containers left the port as former MD? And you never ask questions?
Do I work at Customs?
You never ask questions?
Do I work at GPHA?
No. So you never ask questions until now?
Ask your questions pertaining to the issues at hand. You are asking me how the containers left the port. As managing director, am I in charge of materials and transport? As managing director, is it part of my work, what do you call it, to be at the, listen, if let's solve,
Big Mama, you are not in charge of logistics. But whoever is in charge of logistics and procurement at the ECG reports to you. So what report did they give you about these containers that have been procured by you?
What report did they give the committee?
No. Big Mama, what report did they give to you?
I am asking you a basic question. You put a question. Listen, this is a conversation.
Yes.
This is a conversation that we're having.
And you are asking me a question back.
Why can't I ask you a question back? Because you are trying to digress. You are trying to digress from what I am actually, or what we actually need to talk about. And I'm trying to bring clarity to the matter.
I asked the question that how do these containers get out of the port? You said you are not in charge, or you are not the head of logistics and procurement at ECG. So you wouldn't know how these containers got out.
Do you know how the bureaucracy system works? Let me explain how the bureaucracy. Your director would write to you. So if your director writes to you,
yes,
your director writes to you, then you are on notice. And then now you can find a solution to the matter.
Are you saying the director never wrote to you about this was happening at the port of the ECG container?
If you've listened to the trajectory of the matter, he said, "Sir, he wrote about 2 memos to me. At even a management meeting, it was discussed. We said, allocation of funds to the matter is the issue. Okay? So if allocations to the funds is the issue, there were other creative ways that we were discussing with the Ministry of Finance as to how we can deal with this issue. And then I left. That's the last that I know.
You talk about funds. 5 million was made available to you.
5 million was
for clearing containers. What happened to
Who
that?
said it was made available to me? Who said 5 million was made available to me?
That is part of the committee's report. So I'm saying that if funds were available to you,
Alfred, if you are going to work with me, I have told you, do not make reference.
If funds were available to you, because you say you didn't have funds.
You are trying hard. You are trying hard to solicit an answer for me.
You mentioned funds, that there was lack of funds.
I've told you, I gave him an answer. Through that, it didn't stop there. I've even done my possible best to even give you more than I wanted to give you, by even telling you that it didn't stop there. There were conversations with the Ministry of Finance. I've told you that. I've even told you that. Was it captured in the report? It wasn't. So for me, don't drag me into that report.